We're going to talk about how to find the surface area of a pyramid. And so remember what area means. It means that you can think of it as you're covering something or you're painting something, so how much paint you need to cover it. Surface area just means you have a three-dimensional object, and so you can think of it as you're going to paint the whole thing. So what is the total paint for all of the sides and the bottom and the top, if you have a top, for that object? So when we're talking about a pyramid, and so most of us are familiar with the pyramids in Egypt, that's exactly what we're talking about here. And so when you think about surface area, you can think about if we're going to essentially paint all of the sides of the pyramid and the bottom. So remember, this is resting on a bottom, and so we're going to have to also include that. That's what this formula is. So the formula is given to you on the formula sheet, so you don't have to memorize this, but you need to understand it in order to apply it. So here's the formula that's given to you. Surface area, SA, is 1/2 PS. So when these are right beside each other, that means multiplication. So 1/2 times P times S plus B. So what do these mean, these letters? So P means perimeter of the base. So the base again is the bottom. So here we have a pyramid. It has 4 rectangular sides and then a square on the bottom. This formula means that all the sides and the base are always going to be the same. So in this case it's going to be a square. So in order to know what P is, you need to know how to find perimeter. So if you don't know how to find the perimeter of a square or a rectangle, you need to watch that video. So essentially though, perimeter means the distance around something. So the base, remember, is this bottom thing that the pyramid's sitting on. How do you find the perimeter of that? All you do is add up the sides. Since each of the sides is going to have equal length, you can take one of the sides and multiply it by 4. So let's say that each of the sides is 3 feet. So the back 2 sides are 3 feet as well. So here, the perimeter of the base, you add up the sides because it's like you're trying to put something around this. So it's 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, or you can write that as 3 times 4, whichever makes most sense to you. You can add 3 4 times or just multiply 3 times 4, and you get 12 feet. That's what your P is. S is slant height. So it's important to know this because they may try and trick you here. There is a height of the pyramid, and the height of the pyramid goes from the top straight down to the middle of the base. That is the height of the pyramid. We don't want that. That's not what we want. We want the slant height. The slant height goes from the top to the middle of a side. So it's like it's coming down the face of that triangle to the middle of this. That is the slant height. That's the number we want. These are going to be different. The height is how tall this thing is, which you measure from the top down, straight down to the middle. The slant height is how tall this side is, which is going to be different than that. So make sure when you do the problem, you're using the slant height, not the height, because they may give you the height just as a distractor. So let's say here the slant height is 8 feet. So that's just going to be given. I'm just going to say that's 8 feet. So we have P is the perimeter, S is the slant height, B means area of the base. So here you need to know, how do you find the area of this square? Area of a square, area of a rectangle is length times width. So 3 times 3, that's the area. If you don't know how to do area of a rectangle or a square, you need to watch that video on Facebook as well. So the area of the base is just 3 times 3. Remember, when we write two numbers in parentheses beside each other, it just means multiplication. So it's 9 feet squared. So what is the total surface area of this pyramid? It's 1/2 times P. What did we say P was? 12 feet. Times S, which is a slant height. That's 8 feet. Plus B, the area of the base, which is 9 feet squared. 1/2 times 12 times 8. If you do that multiplication, you're going to get 48. You can do that with your calculator. So 48 plus 9 is 57 feet squared. Remember, this is an area problem, so your units are always going to be squared. So square feet, feet squared. So if you were given this pyramid and asked to find the surface area, this is how you would do it. You just figure out what is P, what is S, what is B, and then just plug those numbers into the formula. So it is also important to remember what we are doing here in this formula, so you can manipulate this if you're given something a little bit more challenging. This part here, 1/2 perimeter times slant height, is giving us the area for the sides, the triangular sides of the pyramid. So this 48, that's the surface area for those 4 triangular sides. So for all 4 of them. The B, area of the base, is obviously giving you the surface area for the bottom. So if the problem says find the surface area of this pyramid but do not include the base, let's say you're going to paint something and it's sitting on the ground. Well, you're not going to paint the bottom. So you need to know that you don't need this part of the equation. You don't need the area of the base. You just need the area for these 4 sides, 4 triangular sides. That's given by 1/2 times perimeter times slant height. So in that case, it would just be 1/2 times 12 times 8, which we got to be is 48. So you need to understand this formula. This is the base of the bottom, the area of the base, which is the bottom. This part of it is giving you the total surface area for those 4 triangles. Because if you look at this, if you just look at one of the faces, right, all you have is a triangle whose height is 8 feet and whose base is 3 feet. What's the area of this triangle? It's 1/2 base times height. That's 1/2, 3 times 8 equals 12. So if this triangle area is 12, that area, this front face has the same area of 12, the other face has the same area. Each triangle has the same area of 12 feet squared. There's 4 of them. That's 48. So that's really where this number comes from. All you're doing is calculating the area of each triangle and adding them together. But there's a quicker way to do it by using perimeter and slant height. So again, just remember, this first part before the plus sign is giving you the total area for the 4 sides. This is giving you the area for the bottom. We'll do one more problem that's a little bit more computationally challenging. All right, let's say we have a pyramid whose height is 480, whose length of each side is 755, and whose slant height is 610 feet. Now, I didn't write down the first thing I said, the height is 480, because remember, we don't need that number. We don't need the height, we need the slant height. So if your problem gives you the height, you don't need that. What is the surface area of this whole pyramid? So again, we do the exact same thing. 1/2 P. P is the perimeter of the base. I'm just going to do 755 times 4. You can do 755 plus 755 plus 755 plus 755, or 755 times 4. This is 320 feet. Slant height is given to us, 610. The area of the base, again, the base is the bottom, 755. It's length times width. 755 times 755, and that is 570,025. Oops. 25. So, what is the whole surface area? Surface area equals 1/2 times perimeter, which is 3020. So I'm just plugging these numbers into this formula, times the slant height, which is 610, plus the base, which is 570,025. Remember, you always have to do multiplication before you do addition. That's the order of operations. So what's 1/2 times 3020 times 610? You can plug that into your calculator. You're going to get 921,100 plus 570,025. You add these two numbers together with your calculator, you're going to get 1,491,125 square feet. If it said, don't count the bottom, what's the surface area of this without the bottom? We're just concerned about the sides of the pyramid. Remember, we just take off this part of it, and our answer would then be 921,000. That's the surface area of the 4 triangular sides. It's the surface area of the pyramid without the bottom.